Hi, good evening to all of you, and good morning or good afternoon to people who are joining from other parts of the world. As I'm in India, I'm just saying good evening. Uh, Thank you for being part of this session, and thank you for being here to discuss on why it is important to have a mentor if you are an entrepreneur getting into a business or any walk of life in that matter, and also how important it is to not to fall in love with your idea. So the idea of this session, or that is what we are going to discuss. Briefly introducing myself, my name is Chirag Shah. I am a qualified chartered accountant and have been an entrepreneur and a business coach, and also have worn an hat of a top management or a middle management guy over my 16 plus or 70 plus years of experience. I started as an entrepreneur in way back in 2000, and as I would say, I started my first e-learning company in India for teaching chartered accountants online. I might not be the first guy to start it, yeah, but it was early part of my career, or early part of the e-learning industry in India. Then I went on to be part of other startups who were into education domain, be it e-learning or school and college ERPs. Going ahead, I again tried disrupting education industry by starting a company who developed applications on the mobile apps. Who developed application on the mobile apps and other stuff. So and also so various government organizations have been part of various startups forum. Was privileged to also judge one of the entrepreneurship competition, which is known as SAIF. So that is all about myself. I won't talk much about it. But over the period of my journey as an entrepreneur, as a business coach, or a consultant, I always realized the importance of a mentor. And why do we need a mentor? That was the question which most of us ask. Typically, in second world countries, or where entrepreneurship is blossoming in the big way, the importance of mentor is still getting into a, I would say, into a pace. The why the mentor is required. Typically, there is always a difference between a mentor and a coach. And though they both sound too similar from the understanding perspective, but yes, there is a difference. If you want to really understand, let me try to explain you based on one of the example which I'm sure we all will relate quite easily. So whenever anybody asked me, who is your mentor or who is one of the best mentors, I always told it's our parents. They are the people who have always guided you. They are the people who has always be with you whatever it came. They have not only managed you from the emotional perspective, but also they have guided you on how you should be in the society, or what should be your next, what should be your education, what you should pursue as far as your father is concerned, and emotionally is where your mother comes. So mentor typically plays a role of a friend, philosopher, and a guide. uh, it's very important. And then if I take an example of coach, who is a coach? Yeah, finally, a coach is a person. Let us go back with the same example. So when I say your parents become mentor, your school teachers or your professors, in your education institutes becomes a coach, because the coach works on a very typical objective. What they try to teach you or try to make you better on your weaknesses, or something which you want to be better in. So it's very objective oriented. I would say the coaching is very objective oriented, and it should be ended up into a result. But compared to that, cut to the mentors, though they are objective oriented, but they are the people whom you look to, most of the time, or you want their support, or you want their guidance. So typically, I hope most of you guys have understood, what I try to mean. What is the difference between a coach and a mentor? You know. So one thing during my entire journey, as an entrepreneur, I always felt that a mentor would have helped me. So mentor is a guy who would always help you. Uh, I would not say from not making mistakes, but they would always tell you what you should do right and what you should avoid doing it. Because we as young entrepreneurs have a lot of zeal. You always have a determination to do something, but you want somebody whom you want to look up to and go and say, okay, hey, this is my problem. How do I resolve it? Or what should I do next? So typically, there was, as an entrepreneur, the mentor would have help. I don't call myself as a business mentor. I call myself as a coach, because most of the entrepreneurs approach me with a very focused objective, asking me, what I should do to achieve this particular target or this particular requirement. So my duration with them would be quite very short. Maybe somebody would want me for, say, a month, somebody would want 2 months, somebody might go long. So I call myself as a coach or as a consultant. And typically I would say, yeah, of course, there is a commercials involved in that. But most of the time, my association would end once the objective was met. But saying that, many of my I would not say my clients, but my friends ended up being part of my journey, and I have become a mentor to them. Because they still come back to me with typical questions for the help and what I should do. One thing I've always felt, when you are an entrepreneur or you are getting into a startup business or you are working on an idea or anything which you are trying to do, you need a mentor over there, so who would always guide you. This is right, the idea is good. See, typically what happens is, with entrepreneurs, as well as the entrepreneurs who are quite young, they always feel what they are thinking or what they are doing is always right. And there are many examples which I would not like to speak on these forums by taking names, but it does happen. So that is where somebody has to come in front of you and play a devil's advocate, right? And they would say, okay, hey, this is not correct. This is how we should do. That doesn't mean he's a coach, right? He's still a mentor, because he's still guiding you on what has to be done. Another thing is, we always feel, we at times I feel you after a point you start taking mentor for granted, because especially I'm not sure all of you would do it, but after a point we start taking our parents for granted, saying that yeah, what you are saying is right, but this is my thought. Typically it happens with the mentors as well, right? So it's very important. It's very important once you have a mentor, listen to them, listen to him or her, and say, okay, it's very important to analyze and try to understand that why they are trying to explain you, or they are trying to say something. So a coach would be very important in your business to achieve a particular objective or a target. But I would say each one of us should have a mentor. A mentor would always be there. Be what it is. If you respect and trust that person as a mentor, the relationship between a mentor and a mentee is full of trust and full of understanding and believing. A mentee should believe in a mentor. So that's all about it. Maybe this introduction would have set the tone to understand difference between a mentor and mentee, a mentor and a coach. And I would take on the other topic, which normally is part of this discussion. So why you should not fall in love with your ideas, right? In my journey, when I was consulting, or as I'm a consulting entrepreneur, I always understood one thing. Most of the entrepreneurs believed that my idea is best. What I'm doing is like exceptional. This is what is going to disrupt the industry. Be it IT technology, be it drone, be it IoTs of the world, or maybe as simple as starting a fitness center. So I have gone across many industries during my coaching or consulting journey, what I'm on right now. So I've also coached a startup or an entrepreneur based out of Switzerland. She was into matchmaking services. I went on to coaching somebody starting our fitness centers. I went to coach somebody on IoT. They were trying to introduce some IoT for tracking motor vehicles, UB2 devices, drone technologies, Amtrak from Amazon, investment banking. So lot of industries, maybe e-commerce, e-learning, IT services, projects, products. So in this entire thing, I meet people who are like bubbling with the ideas, who have like something which they feel is going to be the next, and one thing, I always tell them, any idea is good. If you really ask me, any idea is good, but how you execute it is the key. Somebody might be already there in the market, and you want to, introduce a similar idea. So I always tell them, okay, it's a trial and tested idea, but what different you are trying to do it? What is the unique selling proposition? What is that which they would feel, the customers would feel is different to what was there originally, right? And there are many examples, which are there. Going ahead, the idea validation. Idea validation is very key. Let us be all understand. Okay, let us be all be sure that what you are thinking is not the unique thing. There are 110 or 100,000 or lakhs of people thinking the same idea, or maybe on the similar lines, right? So falling in love with the idea is very dangerous. Trust me, it's very dangerous, only because you try to keep on pursuing on this idea. You think about them, you dream about them, but you are never practical about it. And I'm sure most of you will realize once you reach a particular stage. I in my journey as an entrepreneur, I would say might have done this mistake of falling in love with my idea, and I kept on pursuing it. After a point where I realized that, oh yeah, okay, it's too much love. It's not going to work further because of many reasons. Not because your idea is not great, but let us understand for the fact that business is accumulation of various things. There's a lot of energy and a lot of things comes together to make a business successful. And I'll always say a business can be successful with a pinch of destiny. You have to be at the right place at the right time. So I would not say your idea, what you might be thinking or what you think is bad, but you are not destined to make it big. Saying that, I'm not trying to tell you, or not trying to say that you should not pursue your ideas. You should pursue. You should attempt it. You should execute it. That is where we each of us will understand what it is, idea, and pursue it in the right way. Pursue it in the right way. And that is where a mentor will play a very important role to make you understand that why you should not fall in love with your idea and what's wrong with your idea. So I hope I have set the tone right, and yeah, great. The questions are pouring in. The questions are pouring in. It's great to have a question. So let us take this question, which is very interesting. Somebody's asked me, should an entrepreneur expect a mentor to provide business connections? Oh, very good question. The point is, and if I go back to something which I told earlier, there's always a trust on a mentor, and there is the expectations. Yes, definitely is always there. It has to be limited. A mentor should be looked upon somebody who is also not only going to give you a emotional or sensible or objective support, but it's also going to be with you whenever you require him, or it's somebody whom you look upon. To answer your question, whether you expect the business connections, it all depends on the mentor. I always feel you don't select a mentor. You stumble upon a mentor. You meet somebody whom you start discussing, and you feel, oh yeah, this is the guy I want to reach to, and over a period of time he becomes a mentor. So it all depends. I feel you can't select your parents, right? It's come from the birth. Same way, a mentor is somebody whom you stumble upon, you meet. Somebody I'm talking right now would like me and say, oh Chirag, I want to be in touch with you, I'll discuss. And over a period of time, we create such a bond that, you start, discussing, and then ultimately you feel that I'm a mentor, right? So expecting business connection, yes, you should be always free to reach out to that person and say, oh yeah, this is what I am, and I'm expecting some business connections, growth from you, because you have a potential to help me go to next level. So expectation is always right. There is nothing wrong in setting an expectation from a mentor to get a business connections, but don't expect. He or she with full heart want to help you, but it might not be possible. So don't take it otherwise if he or she is not able to help you on the business connections or anything else. But yes, to answer the question in a simple term, yes, you can expect. It all depends on the mentor you is. Now, there was another question. Many entrepreneurs don't understand the difference between a business consultant that you pay and a mentor. Can you explain how each operates? Yeah, so excellent. So when I told about a coach, you can always understand. I meant a consultant as well. So it's somewhat similar, a coach and a consultant. Yeah. So yeah, that's one good thing is you pay a coach and a consultant, because they would charge you for the efforts a day or for say hours they spend with you. And there is nothing wrong in paying a coach. It's always good because it's for your betterment. But one thing before I touch upon the difference, one thing I would definitely want to tell you, while you select a coach or a consultant, set up a very short objectives. Don't expect having to happen, because I tell them when I interact the first time with anybody, I tell them, okay, you want to hire me as a coach, but let's not look at a long term. You need to understand first whether I'm able to contribute to your requirement or the expectations, and are you able to get something out of me because you are paying it, right? It's very important to analyze a person with a short objectives. Start with whatever it is. You want to build a financial statements, you want the SOPs to be defined, or strategies or idea validation, or you want to have a multiple discussions to be done. Be very focused. I say I don't know how much of you really watch cricket. But I say everybody, all the entrepreneurs play session by session. A test match would have 3 sessions. One before lunch, one before tea, and one end of the day. So that sessions by sessions you want to play, and you plan it, gradually over a period of time. So you break any of your idea into a long objective or vision you want to achieve, but then it's very important to break it into short goals or short ideas. And then short ideas or short goals should be further broken into the activities which will help you to achieve that. So play session by sessions. So so difference between a consultant or a mentor. I would say, as I told you, that you definitely pay a consultant and a coach, but that doesn't mean you don't pay your mentor. As I told you, don't take mentor for a granted, because he or she is with you. He or she might be not expecting, but always keep something which would make them feel good about mentoring you. It might not be a monetary, always, but there are various ways you can always pay a respect to your mentor. Saying that, I am a mentor to a lot of young, I would say, people or entrepreneurs or something they are doing. Not that I expect from them something, but it's something which creates a bond. Because understand one thing, we as a mentee, anybody as a mentee would always expect something on the mentor, to guide or to do something and make him or herself available most of the time when it is required, right? So expecting some kind of, I would not say benefit or a pay, but some type of respect is always there. Yeah. So Fanny, I'll take your question. Just I'll just finish this. So to answer the question which was put across, the difference between a business consultant whom you pay and a mentor, I would say a mentor is for your life. You don't take mentor for a particular duration, or nor would you define a pay which you want to pay a mentor. A coach is for a particular objective or to achieve something, right? So that's the difference. So I hope I answered. Yeah, Fanny, your question. Question concerning the other topic about falling in love with your ideas. Can you explain why it can be so detrimental for an entrepreneur to become overly obsessed with their idea? Good question, Fanny, and I would definitely want to touch that later on, but I'll answer you right away. So, Fanny, typically, why should we not detrimental? See, any business or any entrepreneur journey, or any entrepreneur goes through various emotions, And entrepreneurship, I always feel, is balancing your personal life, is balancing your business life, balancing a lot of emotions, because you're sacrificing a lot of things to be an entrepreneur, to be a successful person. I love entrepreneurs from only the fact that they have passion or that determination to do something. Anything will drive on the passion. I tell my team, in any being a management guy, being part of the company as a part of a manager, or as a business coach, or as an entrepreneur, I always told my team, the passion is something which you will drive. Now, to why it is detrimental for an entrepreneur to become overly obsessive? Just imagine, the let's take from the emotional perspective, the turmoil of emotions which you go through being an entrepreneur, and you become so so close to your idea that if it doesn't work, it really hurts you or harms you in a big way. I don't know whether I should compare this to falling in love with somebody. So if it's not going to ultimately happen, or you're going to break off, it's the pain which you always carry with you, and you always start feeling that oh, I was not able to achieve this, or I was not able to do it. So it is detrimental from two perspectives. One is from your emotions, from your mindset, because it takes you in a zone where you start feeling yourself to be a loser. Because the point is, the entrepreneurship industry, or say, I will not say industry, sorry, the entrepreneurship is growing so much that everybody is coming with some or the other ideas, and many are getting successful. Somebody might be not successful, and always you try to look on the people who have been successful and say, oh, I could have done better. Oh, I was not able to achieve it, right? So one detrimental is, it's going to emotionally drain you off, and it might also lead to something which might, your self-confidence will get broken to some extent. Of course, to execute any idea, you require funds, you require money, right? And you don't have anybody who would invest in your business on day one, right? You have to invest something from your pocket, or your family pocket, or from friend's pocket, right? Because, and for your friends or your family also, you have to sell your idea, right? So there is always, you're going to lose on the money part, and the point of being an entrepreneur is, you don't get salaries till you achieve something, correct? Or you achieve the business or the sales, or you get somebody, investors who invest in your idea, correct? So initially, you're not only losing out on your money which you could have earned by working somewhere or being an employee. You're also losing out on your time cost, your opportunity cost, and you're also investing in the business. So as you start keep on pulling your idea, you keep on executing it, you try to make it better, you try all the possible ways to make it run, and finally you understand, oh, this is not working. My only point is, don't fall in love with your idea. Is you should know when the right time when you should cut it off. You say, okay, this idea is not working for me, right? So just to quickly summarize, to answer your question, is there are two ways it might affect you, as per my understanding. Is one is emotional and one is financial. So Fanny, if that answers your question. So that's it. So let us take up next question. Okay, so how should you establish a strong mentor relationship? Are there any definite steps you should take early on to build a strong relationship? Very good question, right? So how do you establish a relationship with your parents? How do you establish a relationship with your best friend? How do you establish a relationship with your wife or your girlfriend or your spouse? It's just question of trust. That is, as per my understanding, there is no fixed methodology. There is no fixed steps, if you really ask me. A mentor-mentee relationship can't be forced into. It has to be, it grows over a period of time. One important thing which I would strongly suggest to build the relationship is keep the trust. Believe in your mentor. Whatever your mentor is going to tell you, or whatever your mentor is going to suggest, follow it. Try doing it, because they have experienced more in their life compared to what you are experiencing right now, or they would have a better understanding or suggestions than what you would have, right? So the biggest thing, or the biggest stepping stone to have a good relationship with your mentor is to have a good understanding, right? And trusting that person and believing in that person, and and do it or try to take their suggestions. And many a times, what we do is we do listen to a person, or we do listen to a mentor, but the problem is we at times we don't execute, or we don't do as they want. You always feel, okay, yeah, sounds good, but this is what I feel, so keep a trust, try to do what they are suggesting. And it's always good to discuss with your mentor. I would not say argue. There is a thin line between argument and discussion. It's always good to discuss with the mentor. You always keep on putting your point across. It also helps them to understand that what they are trying to explain. You're getting it, or you are in tune with him. So discuss. It always helps. That's one very important thing. So to answer the question, there is no fixed formula. There is no fixed route or a stepping stones to build a relationship with your mentor. It has to be evolved. It should evolve over a period of time. And if you trust anybody as a mentor, you should go ahead with them. I would not say forever, for a while. So and please understand. I understand. We most of the time on this forum would to discuss about the business mentors, right? But finally, your business mentor becomes also your life mentor. Because as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, or as a successful business for that matter, I do understand they have to keep a very good balance between their professional and personal life. And a mentor is somebody who would always help you to balance it out. So trust me, you should always. And I feel, you should always have one mentor in life. Be it for your business or be it for your personal. Try having one. Trying even is not that I'm trying to tell you that you go and shop for a mentor, but try to build somebody. Try to get associated, be your best friend, your parents, somebody you meet in an office or your day-to-day life. Just do it. Try to share. It always helps. So that is what. There is no typical path to establish a stronger mentor relationship except the trust and trying to do what mentor is suggesting. Believing in his ideas, believing in what he's trying to say. Are there any definite steps you should take early to build a strong relationship? No. There are not definite steps which I would say that which is required to build a strong relationship. It's just it happens over a period of time. Again, we zeroed on to the fact that it's all about trust, which is more important. Start building that. Start building that trust. And I, from my personal understanding, it's not necessary that mentor is somebody whom you want to meet or whom you want to get associated to or discuss with on a day-to-day basis. No, I know it's not that case. Sometimes it does happen that you meet somebody say after years, and it has happened with me. I was teaching somebody in my early part of my career, so I was also a professor for teaching finance and accounts, and there were a bunch of students whom I used to teach. So and over a period of time, we built a bond, and we started interacting, and it sort of became a mentor. And suddenly, everything. Once they passed, they graduated, they went ahead. We lost the connect, right? We lost the connect, and then I suddenly meet them over a period of time, say after a few years, and I was not shocked to see the emotions and relationship remaining the same. And as I met, there was a lot of discussion and questions which we used to have before, and then someone would say, it was my bad that we didn't keep in touch. We should keep in touch, because it's always good to discuss with you. So not that I gave a fantastic advices, but somewhere they believed, what I said made sense to them. So that's the overall thing. So sharing some tidbits from my life, which happened. And if you take me personally, from my early entrepreneurship days, the coaching and mentorship, when I talk about 1999, 2000, it was not that in thing, or it was not in market. Say the investment industry was also not that at its peak. So yeah, it was for me. I always, I would not say regret, but I always felt that vacuum of having a good mentor at that early days of my entrepreneurship career. Somebody I could go and just discuss not only on the ideas, but what I'm doing wrong and what I should have done, and this is what is the downfall. How can make myself better? So that was the thing which is always felt. So that I hope the answers your question which I'm trying to put across here. Another question which is coming in is, can you explain why it should be so detrimental for an entrepreneur to become over obsessed? So I'm sure that I answered that question, Fanny. So now there is one question of prototyping and testing your ideas. So and how we should do that. Prototyping the ideas. There are multiple ways. First and foremost, it's very important to discuss your ideas with people whom you know and who would give you the right advice. It's a more of an ideation stage than the prototyping stage. So we are just going a step early. One thing which I've always realized, and I'm not sure how much it is true, but what is my realization says is many people feel too concerned about sharing their ideas. They feel that their ideas will be taken away, somebody else will work on the ideas and the stuff. How does it matter? I always feel the execution is key. And as I told you earlier, guys, there are 110 or lakhs of people who are thinking the similar ideas as you are, and possibly maybe much better than what you are thinking, for a particular thing. So it's not necessary that you are the only guy who's trying to make something big, right? When Microsoft started OS, I'm sure there were also other companies who were working on the OS. So how the idea is finally how best you execute and how best you deliver the thoughts which you have, right? So never get too obsessive about your ideas, and don't get into a mode where you get afraid that I can't share the ideas. Let's not do it. It's not an issue. Correct. Secondly, on the coming back to the prototyping thing, so there are multiple ways. So as I told you, first it all starts with your ideation stage. Discussing the ideas with people whom you believe are going to give you a proper response or a proper feedback. That's very important. So once you have the ideation stage passed through, it's always good to document your idea and make a proper business plan. With how, and it's very important for each one of us to have a value proposition defined. When I say what is a value proposition to be defined is how different or how unique is your idea, and what is that problem, one problem we are trying to solve, or trying to attack in the industry. So if you see, most of the ideas have germinated with a problem, or germinated with the requirement, or germinated with the scarcity, which is available in the, or not available in the market, right? So that is where the entire thing has started from. So it's always good to define your value proposition, on your ideation stage itself. What is that value proposition you are trying to deliver, or what is that one problem you are trying to attack in the society or the market? That will fairly give you an idea of how good you are going to do about it. So there are many ideas like your food apps or your websites related to food. They all germinated from the fact that I am not able to, or my office people are not able to see which hotel I need to order the food from, and that is where you start uploading the menus. Or when say you order delivery of say food, typically well, there are people who don't want to go to restaurants, or there's a long waiting time at restaurants, or there are youths who would love to get food from the market, out of the market, and get it delivered to their place. So that's where the entire and of course it is trying to I would not say solve. Yeah, definitely it's trying to solve a problem where they're waiting on the long queues. You want to order the food from a hotel or a restaurant which you love the food most from. So defining a value proposition, the ideation stage, making a good business plan, know what you're trying to achieve, share it with the people whom who are going to give you right advice. It's very important to have your market research done properly. About the idea. You should also have your competitors analysis to be set. So all these things becomes very important, right? Once you pass this stage, comes the prototyping stage. So try to I would say create your thought into a deliverable or or a prototype by making it a very small. So if I'm starting an e-commerce say market, I start with something, e-commerce website. I started something very small. Maybe buy a clothing line or a particular clothing line to understand the market. Take on that. So, and this prototypes also helps you to reach out to the angel investors, somebody who would like your idea and invest you to take you ahead. So a prototyping is very important. So if I'm trying to make an app to disrupt something, make a prototype of the app. Maybe some idea which you want to throw, which will give you, number one, the right idea of the market, the acceptance of the idea, and also whether you get money from your idea. So there might be, so for example, if I'm making an app, there might be 5 to 10 features you might have thought of, but think or have 1 or 2 features which are very key for your idea, and then you develop that prototype around it. So also, for example, I'm starting say a restaurant, or I'm starting a food stall for that matter. I start with making say a 1 dish or a 2 dish, and see the acceptance, before I increase my menu, or I don't want to invest a big way by starting a full-fledged restaurant. If I'm a first-time entrepreneur to get into a food business, that is what I would start. Or if I'm starting a delivery, food delivery business, I will start with a particular city or a region or a location, and then try to test, how it's going to work. So that is how the typical prototyping happens. It start with something small, to understand if there is an acceptance, and from there you start building onto it. So I personally feel your prototyping should be well defined, in the sense that your making of a prototype also should be well defined. It should be well documented. It should be well thought of. You should make something which is going to, number one, attract the market. Number two, it's going to attract the money. And all these things together will help you to go to the next level. So that's where the entire prototyping idea comes from. Now, there are various types of definitions in the book, like there can be a value prototyping, or there being idea validation, or idea prototyping. So it's finally how you well define your prototype, right, and how you execute your prototype, how you reach out to the right people, to give you a feedback, or to accept your idea, or how you can take it to a next level. So from a prototyping perspective, if you really ask me, when I was building canotes.com, I'm talking about in 99, 2000, where I thought of teaching chartered accountants online, and I know, let's say USCPA or a finance certification, a professional certification like chartered accountancy or USCPA or Australian CPA, has a lot of subjects, lot of content, lot of things, and then finally, and if we would have sat and making everything at one stretch, we could have taken years to build the content and put it on the, at that time we used to call it a website, or a portal. There was no concept of LMSs and all. It was just growing, so by the way, LMS is learning management system, right? So at that time, what we did is we took, so there are three levels in a chartered accountancy, so we took the topmost level, the last final level. We took one subject and we developed a course around that. And we made a very small summary. When I say summary, is like we made something, the notes, which would help a student to study at the last moment before the exam to brush up the things. So we did it only for the one subject, and we threw it open in the market to understand whether there is an acceptance, and we as a young entrepreneurs are making sense around it, right? So that's where the exact prototyping started, and the website also, what we made was just to upload the notes, people to register, right? And just say that take our notes or take our, say, coaching around it. One thing which during the prototyping stage is very important: make a homepage. Make a single page for people to come and register on a website, and say maybe a comment on that or something which will make them interested going ahead. So that will also give you a fair idea. How many people are coming in and registering on your website or your portal. It can be a simple landing page. So as social media marketing is gaining grounds and it's really big now, you can have links on your Facebooks, your Twitters, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, and people just click on that, come to your landing page and say, oh, hey, give an introduction and ask them to register, and tell them what they can expect, going ahead, once they register on a website. So that is all about prototyping, and that is what I would suggest on the prototyping perspective. Let us take another question, which says, what is the best way to test whether the market wants a product or service? That is where I told about a prototyping or reaching out to a smaller markets. See, for every service or a product which you are trying to execute, or which you are trying to do, has a catchment area or a people or a target audience, whom you want to cater to. It all depends on your idea, what you're trying to do. So it's very important for each one of us to know what is the catchment area, okay, or the target audience whom you are trying to cater to. So your target audience may be further broken into, say, youths, or say people who are in middle age, or it can be people who are senior citizens, or others. So it's very important to identify what is your target audience, number one. And then you try to propose your, or if I'm in services, so it all depends on what services you are in. So it might be a matchmaking service, or it might be a fitness center, or you might be catering services, or you might be into IT services, right? So everything would have the target audience you want to get into. Like maybe an IT service will be a B2B or a B2C, or say if you're starting a food service, you are starting with a particular cuisine, right? So it all depends on that side. That has to be very clear. And then you're positioning your service and product to that market becomes very important. Tell you, right? The prototyping becomes very important at that particular time. So when you are positioning your service, or when you are positioning your product, it's very important that you know your target audience, whom you want to cater to. So that will really help you. And your positioning might be services. There are multiple ways. There are multiple ways now with the social media marketing growing in a big way. Your WhatsApp marketing, or say your Facebook marketing, or your Instagrams or Twitters, everything can help you to market your idea. Okay, so this only thing is you should know the right audience. And with my little understanding of how your business or your ideas work, I always feel any idea which has a viral effect, or something which can go very fast virally by word to word mouth, or people recommending or saying, oh yeah, this is new thing, let's try. That is the idea, which will help you to grow much faster. So be it a restaurant business, so, and finally, it's everything zeroes down to customer service, right? We all know for the fact is everything is customer service. So be it restaurants, be it any type of business, you should know. And it's also very important that people should suggest your idea to the next people who would come and say, okay, we heard from X, Y, and Z, and that's where we feel you are serving best of the food, or this food is of my liking, or this cuisine is something which you would like. Same thing, how do you think this Facebook really evolved? It all evolved because it went viral, and there was a lot of youths who liked the idea, and that they started posting, and it was very engaging. Finally, the stickiness in the idea is what everybody looks for. So I would say, to test your ideas, it's number one. It's very important to understand your target market. Number two, what you want to deliver, try to propose it, go and talk to the people, try to give your service. Sometimes it's what happens, many people try to give you a freebie. They would say, okay, you register with us, we might give X amount of services free, or or if you are into IT services, you would say, and somebody would say, okay, I know you are capable, but you don't have a customer list, so can you make something for me and show? It's always good. That is where you are trying to test the market, or trying to propose your service to a customer, right? So you always make a prototype, show them, okay, this is what we can make, this is what we can do, and that will always try to help to generate the business. So it is nothing wrong. It is, I personally feel there's nothing wrong to give your initial services, maybe at low cost, or if required, no cost, because that is where you are trying to test the market. You are trying to believe or understand, what is your capabilities of executing it. So finally, that is how you test the market. I hope I answered your question around that. Yeah. Let us take one more question. Again, coming back, so I've been getting a lot of questions on a difference between a mentor and a coach, and should we hire a coach for our business, or when I'm doing any startup. See, it all depends on your requirements. I'll always believe for the fact that everybody doesn't have all the capabilities. Let us accept for the fact, right? And that's where you require people with multiple talents to be there. Now, also, it's you are not the guy who knows everything on this earth, because you're an entrepreneur. There are a lot of hats you are supposed to be wearing, be it related to the HR, be it related to your operations, man management, process definitions, finance, financial planning, the business idea execution, and that is where coach plays a very important role. I personally feel it's always good to hire a coach, but for what you want to hire a coach, you have to be sure about it. So try it out. It's very important for each one of us to understand what is your weaknesses, what is there you are not good at, or what is there you need to better it, and that is where hiring a coach for that particular thing is very important. If you see most of the big organizations, or the corporates, or the companies who are in the Forbes also, my understanding goes they all have somebody known as business advisors who are always there on their board, or they are closely associated with them, right? So why the people at that level needs a business advisor, right? Because they have grown with the journey and they would know most of the things. But that is where I would say advisor or a consultant or a coach plays a very important role, finally, because there's always something which you want to discuss, or you want to talk to. Yeah, so that becomes very critical. So that's where it's very important to hire a coach. Definitely, you can't hire a mentor. We already discussed a lot around that. I tried giving my explanations around that. So you can't hire a mentor. You can always get associated to a mentor, right? And it might be not necessarily that that mentor would charge you, or you need to pay a mentor, right? So that's where my advice is: be it early stage of your career, or your business ideas, or over a period of time, hiring a coach becomes very important, right? So try to hire one. There's nothing wrong. In your financial budgets, define some amount where you want to say. I would always say not expend, but you want to invest in your coach. That would definitely help. So, guys, I feel this session was helpful. I was able to answer most of the questions which was required or which was posted to me. Given a chance, we would have more opportunities to interact and talk with each other, right? And all the best to Ye community. You are guys doing excellent. Ye young entrepreneurs, go for it. Try it out. There is nothing to lose. Nothing to lose when you start, when you do something when you are really young, because you have time to get up and come back. If at all, if you fail, I'm sure most of you are smart and passionate not to fail. But if at all you fail, you have a time to come back. But there are also many examples who have started their entrepreneurship journey at the later part of their career, and still they have been successful. So don't lose heart. Just go for it. I would not say try it out, but I always tell everybody go for it. It might definitely work, right? So thank you very very much, you guys, to be around, and talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.